It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Lee Sanders with you all for a special Thursday edition, little mini episode edition of the RCWR show for this January 9th of 2025. What's up, y'all? Yeah, we were actually supposed to do a show Wednesday, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to be totally honest. My diabetes actually got the best of me. I've been doing pretty good with my dieting for this new calendar year because I'm trying to get into the boxing and everything. But that's the thing. I didn't even eat a whole lot of nothing. It was just what I ate that just knocked me the hell out. And my wife was like, when I say knocked me the hell out, if you're a diabetic, if you eat certain foods that are pretty high in carbohydrates, has a little bit too much sugar in it, you're going to feel a little bit of a headache, a little woozy. You're going to want to sit down somewhere. And so that's what was going on with me. To the point, my wife was like, "Hey, thought you were supposed to do a show." I told her what was going on. She was like, "Well, what did you eat?" I told her. She said, "That's really nothing." Okay, yeah, stay away from that going forward. And it was like, yeah, okay, cool. So that's why we did not do a show for you guys on Wednesday. So this in part is making up for that, but I'm also going to be doing something with the missus this weekend as we're going to be bringing back wrestling with the topics. You see, I'm sitting down for this one. I think just for sure, without a doubt, Mondays, I'm going to be standing and the desk is going to be raised during the streams and all that. But no, I'm just going to kind of alternate, right? Just kind of get that usage out of this desk and everything. Hopefully you guys are fantastic right now here on this Thursday. I know over here in the DC metropolitan area, depending on where you are, we got hit with some snow. But here's the thing. Neighbors came together and they were assisting in shoveling each other's roads, driveways, the whole 9 yards. Of course, we had snow plow trucks that were doing their things. That's in some areas. But then in other areas, there were no plow trucks. Sadly, there were no volunteers. And some people were able to do what they were able to do, but they are still trapped. So I know in some parts of Virginia, for example, we got people as of today, day 4, that kids are not in school. Day 4, that a whole bunch of governments and all kinds of stuff is shut down. It's just crazy what's going on and everything. And as far as Mother Nature doing her thing, eliminating all the snow, yeah, we are having some very cold, very frigid temperatures right now. So I'm looking at the sun outside my window right now. It is very bright and sunny, and it ain't really, it's hardly doing anything. I got to be honest with you guys. Right down to the point, I remember when we initially got our snow from over the weekend, I asked my wife before she headed out today for work. I said, "Hey, have you checked on my car in the past couple of days?" And she goes, "Yeah, I just saw it last night, as a matter of fact, on the way home." I say, oh, okay, great. And what's going on with the amount of snow? Has Mother Nature been helping? No, it's still the same. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, it's still the same. I'm like, well, what about at least on the ground? Like, is that like practically gone? She's like, no, it's pretty much still the same. So that kind of gives you an idea about the frigid temperatures that we've been dealing with. Appreciate you guys that might be dropping in while you're at work, and or maybe while you're at school, getting off school, however it's going down. Maybe you're enjoying a lunch break right now. Really appreciate it. We're going to get into a good number of topics on this mini episode. We're not going to do too long-winded of an episode. Of course, if you guys got some questions you want to throw in there, if I can tackle them on this show, I'll do it. If I can't, I'll tackle it over the weekend and or maybe forward it to Monday's RCWR show. Before we go any further into the show, while we're talking DC and everything, I definitely I would not forgive myself if I did not mention this, as we have a decent amount of listeners in the DC metropolitan area and everything. I definitely want to extend my heartfelt condolences, offer thoughts and prayers to the family of Derick Ward. Now, for those of you that do not know about the work of Derick Ward is a long time veteran news reporter and very beloved, a DC native, a DC native. His coverage included covering the 1968 riots that happened out here after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. He also covered the September 11th attacks. He very well known for his style of reporting, definitely prolific. He would break it down in such a way where, he wasn't, I won't say he was classy in the way that he presented the news, but the way in which he presented it, it was very bite-sized. And that was on purpose. And he broke it down in such a way where you didn't feel like it was going above your head. And he did it with such class. He did it with such great precision. And every time you saw Derick Ward reporting, it was almost as if you were checking in with a longtime friend. It's like, hey, Derick, what's up? How's it going? Oh, what's new? It was almost kind of that type of rapport. That was his style, I would say, in a nutshell. And, he worked in radio for a good minute before going to Buffalo, and then he ultimately came back to DC. He actually went to high school, Woodson High School out here in DC and everything. Born and raised, all that. It's kind of funny how his career ultimately brought him back full circle to DC back in the mid 2000s, and he pretty much has been part of DC ever since, going to NBC 4, covering the news for them and everything. Derick passed away suddenly at the age of 62 this week, cardiac arrest. He passed away from complications of cardiac arrest. Just crazy. I remember one of the last reports I saw of him. It was actually right before our snowstorm. Believe it or not, it was actually right before our snowstorm. Because I remember saying to my wife, "Oh, hey, I was watching the news, and hey, this is what was going on." And I even told her, I said, "Hey, yeah, Derick was reporting," and I remember showing her the encore, and we were chuckling because we were looking at Derick, and I couldn't help but say, "Oh, this man looks like he is ready to call it a night. He looked like he is cold. Like, let this man go get his cocoa on and all that. Let him go chill already." Because he looked like he was not enjoying those frigid temperatures. And yeah, he passed away. And as many of you guys know, I'm majoring in media production journalism, and it's it's really sad. I'm not gonna hold no punches with you guys. It's a little depressing. It's downright sad seeing some of my favorites who I've grown up on, and then I'm, trying to pursue this industry, right? Going to this field and everything, and seeing essentially guys who I've looked up to just pass away. It's like, oof, it's like, damn, it's like it stings definitely on so many levels, definitely as a fan. But it definitely stings from the standpoint also of, wow, the odds of me meeting this person and letting them know how much of a fan I am of their work. And yeah, I basically was inspired by them in part to pursue the career and to not be able to shake certain individuals' hands now and be able to look them in the eyes and tell them all that because they're now deceased. It just, oof, it's crazy. But yeah, definitely thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family of Derick Ward. Um, yeah, my just it sucked. It sucked. It's still it's really hard to believe that he's gone. It really, really is. Very good reporter. If you needed something serious, he was very versatile. Very versatile. 1 minute he could be doing a serious report, like we just mentioned, for some examples, and then another case he could be doing a really funny story covering pandas in DC, and it's good to have that type of versatility, I think, because that just means you can pretty much be inserted everywhere and everything, kind of like our own Pat Collins that used to be on News for many decades. 1 minute he can give you a serious story, and then another time, he can do the same thing. Comedy is definitely his calling. Comedy is definitely his calling. But yeah, thoughts, prayers, condolences there. So we'll lighten up the mood a little bit more here. We got the Raw ratings or numbers. The numbers are in for WWE Raw, the debut on Netflix. I really wish we would have gotten into this on Monday as far as predictions go, but we were so into the weeds on talking about the overall premiere of that episode, which, by the way, if you guys did not get a chance to check out Monday night's post show, definitely check it out as it's available on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. I gotta say, hey, look, boy, everybody and their mama came out on Monday. Did they not? Did they not, folks? People who normally never, ever, ever do a Monday Night Raw post show. Everybody was out of the woodwork. Just so I'm very curious to see how many will continue to have it be a regular thing Monday nights. I'm very curious to see because you know how it is. You know how it is. And then usually you get the usual suspects that will pop up right around this time because it's pretty much WrestleMania season and everything starts with the Royal Rumble and all that. So I'm curious to see how many will be in it either for the short term or possibly for the long term this go around and everything. But the numbers are in. I see that social media is still talking about Hulk Hogan being booed out of that Intuit arena for Monday. And so many people, even that comedian, who's the comedian that they had on Monday Night Raw? Iglesias Fluffy, whatever the hell that dude's name is. He's always stealing people's jokes. But even he fell into the trap in talking about, it's the politics, it's who Hulk Hogan supports, who he's voted for, the fact that he was promoting Trump, and I still believe now that we're here pretty much 3 days later, I still believe in my heart of hearts, following up from what I said on Monday, that that's only a small fraction. Because remember, we saw The Undertaker come out. Undertaker, definitely a Republican. Undertaker, right down to the point, had Donald Trump on his podcast. Undertaker got a great ovation from that Into It crowd. This comes down to all the lies, all the controversy, all the bullshit that has come down with the Hulkster from over the years and the lack of self accountability. It's one thing to apologize, but it's always okay. What's that next step that you're going to be taking? That's what everybody is going to be watching. Okay, now that you've apologized, let's watch that next step and let's see how serious you are. Part of are you going to be part of the solution, or are you going to be part of the problem? Right? And as fans, we've always gotten the impression from Hulk Hogan that no, he's just sorry that he got exposed. He's just sorry that he got caught. We've never truly felt that sincerity. And oh, well, after the apology, hey, look at what he's been doing here. And look, this isn't me jumping on some bandwagon. For newer listeners, I've been saying for years, okay, let's watch that next step. Let's see what he does with that next step. And I can remember being right here on this show saying, yo, ever since the whole thing went down with the N-word and all that, when have you ever seen the Hulkster pop up at a boys and girls club in some low income neighborhood and gift them with a check for $25,000 and helped out with renovations, rec equipment, or some stuff like that? When have you seen the Hulkster do something of some type of participate in a food drive? Like, when have you seen him do X, Y, right? We could be here thinking about all kinds of examples, and none of that has ever transpired with the Hulkster. So I think what we saw from Monday night from that crowd encapsulates perfectly how the majority of fans, don't make no mistake about it, the Hulkster definitely has his fans. He definitely has his fans. But as far as, at least in North America, as far as that goes, majority of Americans, yeah, we already know what you're about. Your toxicity to the highest power. Keep that to yourself. We want nothing to do with you. Like, honestly, we can do without you. Let's just see everybody else. We don't mind all the other legends. We don't mind. It kind of makes you wonder if you saw, and I want to pose this question to you guys, and I want you to be realistic. Think about some of the most controversial things, and no, you cannot have Chris Benoit on this list. I'm letting you know that right now. But think about some of the most controversial things that come to mind when you think about certain wrestlers. So in this case, when you think about Hulk Hogan, in this case, when you think about Tessa Blanchard, in this case, when you think about, and then put in the blanks. Now, here's what I want to propose to you. If you were walking down the street and you saw Hulk Hogan and you saw maybe a Tessa Blanchard, or you saw just think two other wrestlers and Hulk Hogan, I'm just curious, out of those three, which one are you going to be walking up to, knowing you're not going to be able, as a result of walking to that one wrestler, you're not going to be able to access the other two? I'm very, very curious where you guys are as far as your Hulk Hogan meter. Yeah, and it's so interesting because it's not like the majority of fans are going. So I want to make sure this is crystal clear for everybody that is going, F that dude. It's a case where, yeah, we recognize his contributions. Make no mistake about it. We recognize his contributions. We appreciate his contributions to the business. Without what he did, I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, WWE still would have obtained the level of success it ultimately, would have gotten and everything. It just would have taken a little bit longer. Without a doubt, it would have taken a little bit longer. But he was in the right place at the right time. And it was just like peanut butter and jelly. Everything worked out so perfectly so perfectly at the time when he and Vince McMahon, WWE partnered up and everything. Speaking of Vince McMahon, you'd swear it was Vince McMahon that was out there Monday night. He swear with the amount of booze that had came about there. But the numbers are in for Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about this. Looking at it right now. And you know what? I gotta say, I like what I'm seeing here as far as the numbers go. I definitely like what I'm seeing, but there is room for caution. There is room for concern. I personally feel, but let me break down the numbers for you here. So this is the official press release that came from Netflix here. So I want to read this to you guys. WWE Raw garnered 4.9 million views for its premiere episode. Let me repeat that again. WWE Raw garnered 4.9 million views for its premiere episode. The inaugural event on Netflix averaged 2.6 million households in the US, according to Video Amp, which is 116% higher than Raw's average 2024 US audience of 1.2 million households and higher than any other Monday Night Raw broadcast in the past 5 years. The event also more than doubled the age 18 to 49 audience versus last year. On X, as soon as the event started, WWE Raw was the #1 trending topic in the US, Brazil, Australia, and the UK. WWE Raw trended for 14 hours straight in the UK and occupied 6 of the top 7 trending topics in the US. Raw on Netflix and WWE on Netflix also trended in Brazil, Canada, Mexico, Spain, and the US. WWE generated 223 million social views across platforms on the day of Raw's Netflix premiere, more social views than any Raw episode of 2024. So that pretty much is it in a nutshell. Now, two things that I want to include as part of this, because for all the people that are talking about this, they're missing two key things. Because I've seen some interesting conversations, some arguments, and some of those arguments are automatically negated because they aren't mentioning these two things as part of the conversation, which is views are the total view hours for the program divided by the runtime. So when you really break that down, that's the nearest proxy for average minute audience, AMA, at the household level, and does not include co-viewing. Data cut off midnight Pacific Standard Time each day. Also, does not include viewing in 92 countries / territories where Netflix doesn't yet distribute WWE. So this includes France, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, the Philippines, South Korea. So you have to keep that in mind. So the main thing that you want to take away right now is, okay, so for the United States, WWE Raw did 2.6 million, and again, views. Okay, households / views. That's what you want to think about. We're not talking ratings, because that's that's kind of technically negated right now. So you hear that 2.6 million households. Okay, 2.6 million views. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good just for the US. That's pretty good. I'm instantly reminded, though, of when Smackdown made its debut on the Fox network. How soon we forget. October 4th, 2019. That did about over 3 million. I almost want to say, I think it was somewhere between 3.25 to maybe 3.60 plus million for the premiere on Fox 2019. But then we just got into this steady decline over the years that ultimately Fox had said to themselves, okay, you know what? This is a great live show and everything, but for the amount of money that we're paying for this, we're not really getting our true money's worth. We're actually losing some money here. We probably would be better off just cutting ties with these guys and just going in a different direction. And ultimately, that is why uh, SmackDown is no longer on Fox, right? They felt like, nah, you're not worth the deal. So looking at that 3 point something million for that SmackDown debut, thinking about what Raw just did for its Netflix premiere, circle back to what I had said to you guys a couple of weeks ago, which is all right, let's see what's going to happen with the premiere, but most importantly, what's going to happen as far as, okay, now that that episode is in the books, how much of a recurring audience are you going to be able to maintain? That's what this is really all about right now. And I said, as we were closing out 2024, one of the things that I was going to be most curious about is to see, okay, and I said this clear as day. You can go back and check out the archives. I said, I wonder how when we compare the final year of Raw on the USA Network and we compare it to a full year of Raw on Netflix, is there really going to be that much of a drastic difference? And then I also said to you guys, I'm most curious to see how that Raw premiere on Netflix does compare to what was done with that SmackDown premiere on Fox. So we got that latter part that's now in the books and everything. So if you're looking at the US household particularly, you're kind of going, was expecting maybe a little bit more because and nobody is talking about this yet, but I think I'm bringing up a really good point here, which is when it comes to Netflix, how many subscribers are in Netflix? Particularly, how many subscribers are in the US? And that information is easily obtainable, which is 84.8 million. And this is according to one of my favorite websites that I've gone to for many studies, Statista. Statista says that Netflix reported that 84.8 million paid streaming subscribers across the United States and Canada in the third quarter of 2024. So think about that for a second. 84.8 million paying subscribers in the United States and in Canada. And all we could get for the United States for the Raw on Netflix premiere is 2.6 million. So the question that I bring to you guys, okay, this Raw rating or viewership, numbers for this debut, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? We'll come back and answer that question. One thing that I want to give WWE a lot of props for is they are a juggernaut when it comes to their social media game. They've got some of the best social media hustle that is around. Seriously, their social media is freaking on point. When they need to get the word out about something, when they're trying to get those clicks, the engagements, the team that they oh Lord. Wifey's picking on me right now. I love it. I love it. She would pick on me while I'm live on there. I know she got the notification too. She loves picking on me. Anyway, but no, their social media game, it is so on point. It is so on point. So I think about that, and I think about what's going on with this Raw on Netflix debut now that the numbers are in and everything. And if you're a US fan, you're hearing that number, you got to say to yourself, and it's okay if you're having this thought, that's not really impressive. 84.8 million paying Netflix subscribers in the United States and Canada, and all you can get is 2.6 million. That's all you're able to tap into. Now, understand, like, to be able to tap into all of, like, no. Because some of you may be hearing that and you're going, well, damn, Lee, what would be a good number you would have felt out of the gate? What would have been a really good, strong for a debut? Honestly, I think considering that there was that NFL game that was on Netflix, what was that, last week or the week before? And I think you had like about, what was it, like 25 million people that had checked it out or whatever. Let me hang on real quick because I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right information here. It's a Netflix NFL uh viewership. Hang on. I think it was like 24 million. I remember seeing. No, that's even worse. That's even worse, fam. Yeah, that's even worse. Netflix's Christmas NFL games. Wait a minute, is this the right one I'm looking at here? Yeah, this is the right one. This is the right one. This is the right one. Netflix's Christmas NFL games had brought in 65 million total viewers. So think about that. Think about that for a second. That's not a really good number that WWE did for Raw. I think what would have been a really good, okay, now we was if it was maybe 10 million. I don't think 10 million is wow, that's a astronomically, that's too large of a number, homie. That's like no. That's the hell you smoking. No, I think close to 10 million would have been 7, definitely. Okay, you could be pleased with that. I think anything less than 5, you're definitely going, what's going on here? So for me personally, I'm definitely concerned about whether or not the US numbers slash Canada numbers are gonna continue to grow. Now, look, domestically, and I can't wait to see when other countries are going to be able to access WWE on Netflix. I mean, that's definitely going to help overall and everything, boost those numbers up even more. That's good and all, but I'm definitely concerned about the US numbers. I think if you are a WWE fan, as far as what you need to be looking for going forward is, okay, now that this first week is in the books, how much of that is WWE going to be able to continue to capitalize on? How much of that viewership are they going to be able to bring back? Like, okay, what's the major baseline here? Like, okay, these are the hardcore fans. No matter what, week in and week out, we can expect this number of fans that's going to tune in each and every single week. But are we going to be able to build upon it and grow our audience even more? That's what I'm going to be paying attention. That's what I think a lot of you all should be paying attention to going forward. That reminds me too. I'm very curious what's going on with AEW Dynamite. I did watch that show. Um, Hated that they cut off Kenny Omega and all that at the end there, but it was Kenny Omega's return to Dynamite, and already the guy's going to be wrestling for AEW. They got him wrestling on next week's Maximum Carnage edition of Dynamite. I'm looking at that going, oh, couldn't hold it off till a pay-per-view, huh? Like, seriously? I miss the old Kenny Omega, by the way. I miss, remember when Kenny Omega kind of seemed like he was a final boss years back? Like you worked your way up and all right, here you are. Now it's Kenny Omega. Like this is it. I'd like them to kind of go back to those days with Kenny Omega. I don't, I have mixed emotions right now, but I'm more leaning towards, man, I wish Tony Khan and them would have just not had him wrestle until the first AEW pay-per-view. It almost kind of comes off as if the way Tony Khan operates, hey, saw what you did over there in New Japan. All right, yeah, let's do that for this TV edition of, like, pump the brakes. But I'm curious to see how AEW, because they got their little max deal that's going on now. I'm very curious to see not only how this AEW Dynamite. I think I know how last week's did. Yeah. I remember the viewership numbers for last week, but I'm more curious to see this week and compare it to last week's first Dynamite of the year. But most importantly, I know they made the announcement a couple of days ago that Dynamite is now going to be having an encore Fridays at 10 p.m. So you're hearing that, you're going, wait, what? Yeah. So now it's kind of like, well, wait a minute here. Maybe the way we really need to start looking at Dynamite is look at the initial airing and then look at what's happening with the viewership on Friday, then factor in what's going on Max, and then combine all those numbers and let's see what's going on that way. I'm curious if it's, if there's really going to be significant viewership growth there for AEW. So, something else I'm kind of looking at there, but I'm a little concerned for WWE. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm a little bit concerned just for the United States audience. That's what I'm mainly concerned about, because with this deal, it just kind of comes off more as if this trend were to continue. And obviously, it's a lot to be looking into for this very first episode, right? This very first, because it's the premiere. Like it's loaded up, and rightfully so, because you're doing it in Los Angeles. All the celebrities were out, the McCulkin brothers and Travis Scott. And I mean, you had just a great who's who, Bill Simmons, yet great list of who's who of folks that was out there, and then that was just celebrities. Let's not forget about The Rock and John Cena and Hulk Hogan and Undertaker and all of that. Um, and I like how we got to talk about NXT in just a hot little bit. We got to talk about that a little bit. But I'm hoping that WWE will be able to build upon that. And look, if they can keep putting out really solid products like what they did with that premiere and just keep adding on to it, it kind of goes back to what Triple H and them had said on the Raw post show. I don't know how many of you guys had saw the Raw post show this week, which I highly recommend that you do. But I appreciate the fact that Triple H had made that Game of Thrones reference where he talked about, okay, everything leads up to this big, epic fight, and then you have that cool down period where things reset, and then you pretty much build up to the next, next chapter, and then you got such a strong cliffhanger, and then you come back next season, and and Triple H admitted that what they did with Raw for this week, they just pretty much threw a whole bunch of irons into the fire to make it hot and everything, and that next week and going forward, now it's going to be more episodic. Now we're going to be building up towards something and everything. I'm most curious to see, because even he admitted, he said, and I appreciate that honesty, because he really did in that moment when he was talking to the press. In that moment, he really did come off as a true fan, as a genuine true fan, when he pretty much admitted, look, there's going to be some cold days there. There could be some I'm getting a notification about my charger. Hang on here. Hang on here, guys. Oh, I thought I had plugged it in. Hang on, guys. My iPad just said, hey, running low on battery. There we go. Save by the cord. But I appreciate that honesty that he gave there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as we string the weeks together. One thing I want for you guys to be reminded of, and that is the Netflix deal with WWE. I want you to have this in the back of you all's mind in regards with this deal, because Netflix does, hang on here. Netflix, they do have a out for this deal with the WWE. Remember, this deal, they're getting like $500 million per year for 10 years. So you're looking at a whopping $5 billion commitment by the streamer. However, Netflix has the option to opt out after the initial 5 years. And they have the option to extend for an additional 10 years. So keep that in the back of you all's mind. Once again, Netflix has the option to opt out after the initial 5 years, and they can extend for an additional 10 years. So, we are a little bit ways away from 5 years, obviously, right? It's safe to say that this first year, kind of going back to what Triple H said in the post show, because he admitted he was having a hard time understanding the Netflix metrics, what exactly Netflix is looking for. They were trying to have a hard time understanding it, but on one hand, as Triple H had said, you got this over here, this doesn't really matter, but this is somewhat connected to these metrics over here, and these metrics really, really matter, so he's having a hard time, but I think he's gonna, catch on really quick and everything. Look, that's the thing with Netflix. We have seen some of our favorite shows just get the axe on Netflix. Shows that we felt was really, really promising. I know back in the day, I was a big fan of Luke Cage. Loved me some Luke Cage. That first season, oh my God, they crushed it. They crushed it. The second season, it just wasn't the same, though. Just wasn't the same. Same thing with Jessica Jones. Same thing to a certain degree. Same thing with Daredevil. Punisher, man, I enjoyed that second season a lot more than the first season. But Netflix, man, they have some really awesome metrics. Like what I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, Netflix is able to see not only when you begin playing an episode, but if you decide you want to pause, back out, whatever you want to call it, they can see when you're bowing out of that episode exactly at what mark. So, on top of everything, they're also paying attention to the retention time, the watch time, and all of that. And for some of those shows that I had mentioned, sadly, they got the axe because the retention time, the watch time and all of that, it just wasn't. And then most importantly, the other thing that they were paying attention to as well was, okay, now that these episodes are in the books, whether it's they drop an episode weekly or they dump all the episodes in just one sitting for people to binge on, because they're hoping that people will binge and right get that watch time, and that's going to really boost it up and everything. They're definitely paying attention to, okay, now that this is available for on demand, how many are actually going in and watching this, how many are binging. They're paying attention to all of that. And for those shows that I just mentioned, sadly everything was just on such a decline that when you go back, you can look in the Wayback Machine when it came to those final seasons for all of those shows. Look at the social media impressions, engagements, very, very low, extremely low compared to the initial season that came about for all of those shows. So that's something else that's going to be, I think, a factor as well. You got to factor that in when you're talking about WWE. This first year, I think we can honestly all chalk this up to trial and error for WWE, but definitely year 2 through 4, WWE, like after they figured out, what's what and all of that, they really, hopefully they'll be able to really get the ball rolling and substantially will be able to grow, particularly the North America Canadian audience. As far as my prediction goes, because I know some of you, now that you've heard me lay all of this out, some of you are probably going, so Lee, as far as the future of Raw on Netflix, what are you thinking? How concerned are you to the point? Do you see WWE lasting 10 years with this Netflix deal? I don't know, fam. I don't know. I don't know. When I say I don't know, it's not, I don't know if I want to give an answer, but just looking at these numbers, if Netflix doesn't really care, and this is what's making it really interesting for me, because part of me is going, does Netflix care about what's happening with WWE domestically, or are they more interested in what WWE can do internationally? Because if Netflix is like, the top heads, if they're like, no, we do care about what's happening domestically, then obviously they want to see those numbers grow significantly, right? But if they're kind of going, look, as long as you're growing, that's all that we really care about. And now that it's become available over here, and now that it's become available over there, and hey, this is right, then you would like to believe that as long as that WWE is showing significant growth, that will continue to make the relationship uh profitable, prosperous, all of that, right? But there's a big part of me that's looking at this deal going, I I don't know if they're going to make it 10 years. I'm having a hard time picturing 10 years. I think it's going to be a 5-year deal. That is my prediction. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But just looking at the current trend, because see, look, I'm a numbers guy, and you guys got to remember, and this is why I've been going like on and on and on about this. I'm a numbers guy. I used to work in market research for almost 10 years. So I would stay looking at analytics, trends, all of that, numbers, all of that. And there's pause for concern that I'm having right now. I'm trying to be optimistic, but at the same time, I'm kind of going 5-year deal. 5-year deal. Netflix is going to move on, do something else. Maybe by that time they can, maybe pick up more NFL games. Maybe they can start picking up some NBA games. Maybe they can start picking up some NASCAR. Maybe they could start picking up, and that's how essentially they could replace what's going on with WWE. Like that would definitely be a sure bona fide way to bring in more viewers, bring in more sponsors, and then not have so much of a hefty price tag. Because for $500 million a year, and this is supposed to be for 10 years, and you're talking about a $5 billion deal. You feel where I'm coming from? So I don't know, but my gut instinct right now, usually my gut instinct, my friends and family will tell you when I go with my guts, very seldom am I wrong. Like 90% of the time or more, I'm right. And my gut instinct right now is saying this is going to be a 5-year deal and Netflix is going to dip out. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens though. But share your thoughts about that. I'm most curious. So yeah, I tried watching the New Japan what was it? Wrestle Kingdom 19 and Wrestle Dynasty. I tried watching that. Some good matches so far. Some good matches so far. I enjoyed the Mercedes Monet match against oh my god, I'm blanking out on her name right now, but Japanese girl, but she's coming out to the Latin music. At least it sounds it sounds Latin to me when I hear it come out. Hang on, I'll tell you guys exactly who I'm thinking about here. Wrestle Kingdom 19. I'm looking at the card right now here. Give me a second here. Where is she? Where is she? Where is that beautiful woman? I know her name. I know her name. I just need to see Wrestle Kingdom 19. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. Where is she though? Mercedes Monet. Where is that? Must have been Wrestle. Was it Wrestle Dynasty? Hang on. Yeah, I think it was Wrestle Dynasty. Mina Shirakawa. See, now that I said that, some of you guys are probably like, "Oh yeah, yeah, she's cute, man. I love her. Every time she comes out, I find her very, very attractive, very attractive. She has a Oscar thing going on, but like even better. I personally feel she almost has a Oscar combined with Julia kind of vibe going on about her. But what makes her so freaking unique is just when she comes out to that Latin music. I swear, I let me tell you something. I have been to my fair share of Latin clubs, bars, and all that. Getting a drink or two, and that type of entrance that she has, that music, that's the type of shit that you're gonna hear pumping in the PA system, right? Because it definitely has that bass to it as well. I can just picture, right? Oh yeah. But no, I watched a little bit of that Wrestle Dynasty and Wrestle Kingdom and Mina Shirakawa, Mercedes Monet, winner takes all match for the Strong Women's Championship and the undisputed British Women's Championship. Damn good match. Damn good match. I enjoyed watching my hero Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Shibata. That pretty much was a 5-minute exhibition match where they basically were just chopping the hell out of each other. But I loved it. I loved watching it, and I kind of looked at it as a nice olive branch to a certain degree because we know Shibata, the history there with New Japan, and he pretty much, it kind of seemed like he got blacklisted, or essentially he did get blacklisted. And the fact that he was able to work a New Japan event, it's a sign of peace. It's a sign of making amends, I personally felt. And but that was it was a nice little exhibition match right there. Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara retaining their ROH titles against the House of Torture. Was an okay matchup. I did watch a little bit of Ishii taking on Takesha, and that's where I had paused. That's where I had paused. I did not get through the rest of the matches yet, so I did not get to Kenny Omega taking on Gabe Kidd yet. I can't wait to watch it. Telling you guys, I can't wait to watch it, and I'm happy to say that I have no shame. I'm not embarrassed to say this, but I actually paid for a New Japan World subscription for this month so I could see, what all was going on, because I saw the card a couple of weeks ago and I said, I think I want to watch this, especially when they said Kenny Omega was making his in-ring return against Gabe Kidd. I said, okay, well, I know the type of Kenny Omega I'm gonna see at a New Japan event. So that like alone, but then I looked at the rest of the card and I said, it's like a pretty solid card. So, but I paused on that note because I was multitasking, doing a lot of stuff. One thing that is interesting about New Japan World, and yeah, Maria, I agree. Mercedes, she really is becoming the belt collector there, man. I mean, she's Galactus. Galactus hungers. She's I mean, she's just look, any more belts that girl gets, and we're not going to be able to see her, right? She's already a tiny little thing as it is, right? And if she were to just put those belts over her, by the time she comes out, like where's Mercedes? Like that's the point that it's going to get at there. But one thing about New Japan World that I find to be very irritating, I don't know if you guys are coming across this, but one thing that's very annoying. I have a Samsung TV. So I thought what I was going to be able to do was hop on my phone, mirror screen, and mirror screen to my TV. So I get the New Japan audio, but I don't get video. I'm going, well, what the hell? So then I come to my PC. I do a connection for my PC to the TV, basically like a projector, right? Hopefully you're following me. Every 3 minutes, my computer would disconnect from the TV. But on the PC, the pay-per-view was still going. I'm going, what the right? So it was very, 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 very weird what was going on there. I tried opening up different web browsers and like none of that was working. It was infuriating. Finally, I know there was an option to try to pair the TV, because when you go to New Japan World, there's like this pairing code option. Like, I never got a code, never got a code. So it was very annoying. So basically, I just said F it, and that's why I didn't watch the rest of the pay-per-view. But when I do get ready to watch the rest of it, I'm probably gonna set myself up in the studio here and play it on the computer, do it that way. Because at this point, I only got, it looks like by the card, I only got 4 matches left. I got to watch the Young Bucks taking on Great O'Khan. It looks like Yoda Suzuki. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'll just say Yoda taking on Jack Perry for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Kenny Omega, Gabe Kidd, and then looks like Zack Sabre Jr. taking on, oh, looks like he's taking on a bunch of people here. Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Ricochet. Oh, no, it's just one person. Okay, Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Ricochet. Singles match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So it looks like I just got to watch those 4 matches, and then I'll be able to talk more about Wrestle Dynasty and Wrestle Kingdom on this weekend's Wrestling with the Topics with Tam. So tune in for that. But great seeing Kenny Omega return to AEW. Timing, I think, is just right and everything. There was a gauntlet match where Powerhouse Hobbs had picked up the win. So as a result of that, he's going to be facing John Moxley for a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. His promo afterwards, nothing really to be desired. I mean, whoopee doo, you're talking about making John Moxley your bitch. Ooh, just really nothing, you know. That was what it was. What else there? Will Ospreay taking on Buddy Matthews. I loved how that pretty much opened up Dynamite. You can never go wrong with Will Ospreay. By the way, I made a subtle reference. I think it was last week or the week before, and I mentioned something along the lines of, "Yo, I need to see Will Ospreay back in those nice extravagant robes. I'm tired of seeing him come in there with a t-shirt looking like your average wrestler." No, the robes, that's what really, to me at least, it made him stand out. That's what made me, hey, who is this guy? He's looking kind of extravagant, flashy. What's he about? And it complimented him well, I personally felt. So it was nice to see him go back to the robe and everything. Speaking of going back, I see AEW did a cold opener. They did not go with that dreaded 80s song of the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited. I guess the ridicule online really got to them. And hey, that's good for AEW. That's all I gotta say. That's good. I don't know. Maybe you guys could follow up the Pointer Sisters song with Puff the Magic Dragon. I'm surprised that did not happen for this week's Dynamite, with Tony Khan being such a fan of old school rock music and everything. That would have been an interesting AEW Dynamite opener. Puff the Magic Dragon. That that would have been interesting. I don't appreciate the story that they tried to evoke with Will Ospreay and Buddy Matthews. They said something along the lines of, well, Buddy Matthews is trying to get revenge here for Brody King. Brody was part of the tournament. It's like, first of all, Buddy Matthews not being part of that Continental Classic tournament, I think that was a load of bullshit. I think that was a load of bullshit. We put the Beast Mortos in there. There's like a couple of names I remember looking at in that tournament going, why is this person exactly in here when it should be this person that's in there? I wasn't really feeling that. I really wasn't. Will Ospreay picking up the win against Buddy Matthews. Definitely the match of the night. I like that Will Ospreay was trying to do his best to give Buddy Matthews his flowers. And you know what? Yeah, I really hope that as far as 2025 goes, I really hope that Buddy Matthews has a breakout year. I really, really do. Maria, I agree. As far as maybe Buddy Matthews getting the TNT championship from Daniel Garcia, yeah, I totally would be down for that. He definitely needs to have more of a breakout year, though. A lot of people, forget. And if you did forget, Wednesday's Dynamite reminded you that Buddy Matthews is a damn good singles competitor, without a doubt. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, Private Party, they were having themselves a nice little VIP lounge, little rah when the Hurt Syndicate appeared. So we see where that's going. Her Syndicate feels very directionless, feels very flat, very hollow. I'm trying. Lord knows I've tried hard because I love Bobby Lashley. I love MVP. I love Shelton. Respected those guys' work for years. But something just feels very hollow. I don't know if it's maybe a creative thing, but it feels very directionless. I know that's not a word, but stay with me. Yeah, I'm not really feeling it right now. Private Party. Sadly, Tony Khan and crew, they have butchered the hell out of the booking of Private Party as tag champions. It's almost like once the Young Bucks dropped the titles to Private Party. Okay, so fans got what they want. Private Party has the titles. Okay, we're done. We're moving on. And Private Party has pretty much been hollow ever since. That now you're trying to have these little seeds be planted that the Hurt Syndicate is going to take away those titles as MVP. Bobby Lashley pretty much, let them know you guys are on notice. I'm going, well, I don't care. Like, this does nothing for me because that respected tag team champions in this case hasn't been built up properly. And then you do this lame ass thing where Bobby Lashley takes on Mark Briscoe. Lashley picking up the win of course, but okay match too. Oh, honestly, okay match, but here's my problem. I know Mark Briscoe, in his own respected right, is a former ROH world champion. He's decorated multi-time tag champion. Like, he's seen it all. He's been through it all. Like, I get that. But this is Bobby fucking Lashley we're talking about. Now, I'm not saying Mark Briscoe should be squashed, but I'm just saying Mark Briscoe shouldn't be going almost 10 minutes against Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley should be coming into this bitch, and he should just be wrecking mofos left and right, like, regardless. Unless it is a former AEW world champion, or it's a big boy like a Brody King, or a Lance Archer, or Powerhouse Hobbs. Okay, maybe this should kind of go that 10 minutes, 12, whatever. But he should just be destroying mofos left and right, and the commentators should be saying, like, wow, like, who can stop this dude? This dude's been on a roll since he arrived in AEW. Anyway, post-match, Mark Briscoe about to get a really good beatdown when Private Party comes in there, and I'm going, well, wait a minute here. Why should I care about Private Party coming to the rescue there of Mark Briscoe? I thought they were heels. At least some of the stuff I've seen of them in recent weeks, it seemed as though maybe they were healing it up a little bit. But I'm supposed to give a damn that they came to the save of Mark Briscoe? And Bobby Lashley and them, they pretty much are going to back down from these guys, despite the fact that they came in there with a steel chair. Really? That whole thing, it just rubbed me the wrong way, and it just made me go, Tony Khan and crew, they don't have a proper understanding of how they need to be booking Bobby Lashley here. The way I would have had all of that play out with the Hurt Syndicate, I would have had Private Party come in with the steel chairs, Bobby Lashley not backing down, because it's like, these are two freaking twigs. Like, why should I even be intimidated? They try to swing. Bobby Lashley punches one of the damn chairs out of one person's hand. Spine busters the hell out of him. The other Private Party member hits him with the steel chair in the back. Lashley no sells that son of a bitch. Turns around, choke slams the hell out of him, leaves them laid out. Have the commentators go, good God, is this a taste of things to come? And then at least that way you have Private Party in a position where, we got a receipt that is coming for Bobby Lashley and crew. We ain't forget how they did us last week. We owe them an ass whooping. Do it that way. I was talking about that Casino Gauntlet joint earlier. Who was in there? We had Wheeler Yuta, Hangman Page, Ricochet, Jay White, and then Powerhouse Hobbs. Told you about Powerhouse Hobbs picking up the win there. on that. Oh yeah, Adam Cole was in there as well. And I'm trying to think. Dan Garcia was there. Now that I'm thinking about it, Dan Garcia was there as well. Let's see. Oh, wait, Kyle O'Reilly, Jeff Jarrett, Lance Archer, Roddy Strong. Those were all your participants in that one. I don't think I left anything out. The MJF Jeff Jarrett interaction, pretty good. What was going on with Jeff Jarrett's mustache, though? Did you guys notice his mustache? It looked as though he had maybe a hot dog or a hamburger with a lot of mustard on that bitch. Go back and watch it. I've never seen Jeff Jarrett's mustache so yellow before in my life. I was laughing my ass off, and I found myself rubbing my rubbing my mustache, kind of going, yo, do I got something there on my top lip? I loved it. I loved it. Like, ease up with the dying there, Jeff. Seriously, ease up. And since when does Jeff Jarrett look like a evil shogun warlord martial artist from like a really bad 1970s martial arts flick, Japanese flick with English dub? I was just ready for Jeff Jarrett to just go, you don't know nothing about my kung fu. Let me show you Shaolin Kung Fu. I was ready for him to do that. I think it's the hair. I think that's the main thing. It's the hair, the way that he has it styled now and everything. But yeah, go back. It looks like he had a goddamn hot dog or something, and there's just a big old explosion of mustard on that mustache of his. But MJF, pretty much revealing that not only has Jeff Jarrett signed his last contract in wrestling, but apparently the length of this contract, it's only for 1 year. And that 1 year, in 1 year's time, Jeff Jarrett has to somehow climb back up to the mountaintop. MJF offering his assistance to Jarrett, pretty much letting him know he's not going to be able to reach that mountaintop without his help. And that if he accepts MJF's help, only thing MJF asks in return is once he becomes the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Jeff Jarrett is to give MJF the first title shot opportunity. Jarrett pretty much saying, he's seen a lot of high roads, been down a lot of low roads, and pretty much, nah, I'm good, homie. I'm going to do things my way. Don't need you. Not buying what you're selling. You're an entitled little prick. Pretty much rolled out. Getting my wish here. Oh yeah, the one hit wonder. Yeah, called him a one hit wonder. Yeah, that was, and they were in Nashville, I think. So yeah, they know all about one hit wonders. I even like that part where Jeff Jarrett paused there and said, "Hey, that make a great T-shirt," but getting off track anyway. Jeff Jarrett pretty much letting Tony Khan and them know, hey, I think you guys kind of stumbled upon something here. Some money to be made here. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I love Jeff Jarrett. I've been a fan of Jeff Jarrett's for years upon years upon years upon years. Even I will admit, when it came to his days in TNA, when it was the Jeff Jarrett show, see, I didn't hate it as passionately as some TNA fans did back then. There was a part of me that was like, I get it. This is Jeff Jarrett's baby. He's trying to do everything he can to, really grow the product. And, he's the glue here. He's the one that's making everything. So there was a part of me that understood it. But even I was vocal, but there were some people that took it to the extreme vocal about what was going on with him back then. But I always loved that guy's work. True story. Wasn't going to mention this until later on, but just talking about Jeff Jarrett. True story. About, I want to say 2 years ago, Jeff Jarrett was supposed to come to Virginia. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Matter of fact, I got a recommendation for you guys too while we're talking Jeff Jarrett here. Let's see here. Let me put this down a second. And let's see here. Got a recommendation for you guys. For Jeff Jarrett. Yeah, there we go. Got a good recommendation here. All right. So anyway, about 2 years ago, Jeff Jarrett was supposed to come to Virginia for the Squared Circle Collectible Store. It's a really great store. If you probably have seen some of my reviews for it on 411 Mania, because I had met Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, two fantastic good meet and greets. Jeff Jarrett was supposed to do one. And when I say he was supposed to do one, like the advertising was in the books, the graphics, like everything. The date was locked. It was advertising mode promoting him appearing. And if I remember right, I think it was maybe 2 weeks before Jeff Jarrett was supposed to appear, because they pretty much had been promoting this for like, I think they promoted this maybe 5-6 months in advance. 5 to 6 months in advance. 2 weeks before Jeff Jarrett's date, for whatever respected reason, Jeff Jarrett backed out. And this was around that time. Was it 2 years ago? Might have been 3 years ago. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been 3 years ago. Reason why I'm saying now, maybe it was 3 years ago. Just think back to that time period where Jeff Jarrett was running around as a free agent on the indies. And this was right before he went back to WWE. And I remember saying to my wife back then, I said, I was like, I wonder why he backed out. And, we're like, man, maybe he got sick. And I said to her, I said, it's very rare. We hear about Jeff having some type of a health issue or whatever. I said, I don't know. Maybe he got a better deal. And then I remember some days later, it was announced Jeff Jarrett was returning to the WWE. And we kind of looked at each other like, that's what happened. That's what's going on there. You saw me move away from the camera a little bit there because you probably will be able to find this online for a really good deal. But I highly recommend TNA's Jeff Jarrett, King of the Mountain DVD set. Some really good stuff that's in here. You get, let me just give you guys the rundown. Oh my God. Can I give you guys the rundown of this? How long is this? Hang on. Yeah, I can give you guys the rundown of this. And it's 4 disc. If I remember this right, I believe it's a 4 disc set. Let me see here. I have not messed with this in a good minute. Yeah, it's a 4 disc set. Listen to this. 1998, Jeff Jarrett and Bill Dundee versus Gary Young and Cactus Jack. 1988, Jeff Jarrett versus Jerry Lawler. 1987, Jeff Jarrett versus Hector Guerrero. 1986, Jeff Jarrett versus Tony Falk. 1986, Jeff Jarrett's first ever TV appearance. 2002, Jeff Jarrett and the first ever TNA pay-per-view. 2002, Jeff Jarrett versus Scott Hall. 2002, Jeff Jarrett versus Ron Killings. 2003, Jeff Jarrett, Dusty Rhodes, and the Road Warriors versus Vince Russo, Low Key, Chris Daniels, and Elix Skipper. 2003, Jeff Jarrett versus AJ Styles. 2003, Jeff Jarrett versus Raven. 2003, Jeff Jarrett and Sting versus Sean Waltman and AJ Styles. 2003, Jeff Jarrett versus AJ Styles. 2003, Jeff Jarrett versus Jim Duggan. 2004, Jeff Jarrett versus Chris Harris. 2004, Jeff Jarrett versus AJ Styles versus Raven versus Ron Killings versus Chris Harris. 2004, Jeff Jarrett in a Gauntlet for Gold match. 2004, Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy. Here's my personal favorite. 2004, Jeff Jarrett versus Monty Brown. Missed the hell out of that guy. 2005, Jeff Jarrett versus Kevin Nash. 2005, Jeff Jarrett versus Rhino. 2006, Jeff Jarrett, Abyss, Chris Harris, and James Storm versus Rhino, Ron Killings, Brother Ray, and Brother Devon. There's only 5 more matches here. 2006, Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner, Chris Harris, and James Storm versus Sting, AJ Styles, Ron Killings, and Rhino. 2006, Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner versus Sting and Samoa Joe. 2006, Jeff Jarrett versus Christian Cage versus Abyss versus Ron Killings versus Sting. 2006, another personal favorite of mine, Jeff Jarrett versus Samoa Joe. 2006 versus Sting. 2007 versus, actually, this is a tag match. Jarrett teams with Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Rhino, and Sting versus Christian Cage, AJ Styles, Scott Steiner, Abyss, and Tomko. And finally, 2008, Jeff Jarrett versus Kurt Angle. Check that out. Good stuff. I was able to get this for a really good deal. Matter of fact, I think I ended up paying. So I think I got this on eBay. I think I got this for about $5, and shipping was maybe $3. So like $8 total. I pay for this used, but the disc, they're in perfect condition. So yeah, I was bummed out though. I was looking forward to seeing him. I had purchased a combo package, so I was supposed to get an 8x10 photo op, and I was gonna have Jeff Jarrett sign the big gold belt. But it wasn't meant to be. So I had got my refund, and I just kept it moving along. While I'm talking about Squared Circle collectibles, by the way, I was going to mention this until much later on. But for those of you that are looking for something to do and you're going to be in the Virginia area, coming up on January 25th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., Ron Simmons, Farouk, damn, he's going to be at the Squared Circle collectibles store. And you can't beat the prices. 8x10, $30. Photo op, $30. Want to do a combo of it? $50. So that's pretty good. Again, that's going to be happening on January 25th. That is a Saturday. This will be Squared Circle Collectibles first. What's the right words I'm trying to find here? This is going to be their first celebrity event, not just for 2005, but this is going to be their first event. And like, my God, because the last time they did an event, I'm trying to think. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they pretty much missed all of 2024, give or take. I know they did some stuff in 2023. I think for the most part, all of 2024, they didn't do anything. It pretty much was about, if you wanted to buy stuff from them, you could go on their site and you could buy that way. But that pretty much was it, because their store was even closed for most of 2024. And basically, when you get right down to the heart of the matter, it had to do with the fact that it wasn't profitable. It hadn't been profitable for them. Stuff that they have. I mean, it's a great store. If you've seen my reviews that I wrote up where I included photos and all that, and it's a beautiful store. It's a nice layout. All kinds of cool little knickknacks. I mean, it's like you went to wrestling heaven when you go into that store. right down to, I think they even have a wrestling arcade machine that's in there, if I remember right. So, man, it's awesome. I think when you get down to, okay, what's really going on here with this place? Like, why isn't it bringing in more money? Like, what's going on? I think one of the issues is the fact that it's so far out. On the one hand, it's just right off the interstate, but largely in part because it is like deep out in the boondocks. So it's not exactly in a really good, convenient, like mainstream location. I think if it was a situation where, okay, let's put this place in you know, Georgetown, or let's put this in maybe Adams Morgan, or let's do Tyson's Corner, or Alexandra, or McLean even. I think that would definitely bring more of a crowd for sure. I think they're getting a really good deal for the price that they're paying. For Sorry, I blanked out there. I'm looking at some of the comments here, just trying to catch up. I think they're paying a really good deal for their lease, considering where the location of the property is and everything. But I think a lot of those factors, that's what's going on. And then when they're doing these meet and greets, okay, well, they're doing these meet and greets, but in order for them to really turn a profit, you know, the more and more people that spread the word, which can maybe ultimately convert into turnouts and all of that, like all of those working factors as well, right? So, and that's a large part of the reason why they rarely did, if not anything, in 2024. So, yeah. So, for those of you that are maybe close by, and you might be interested in seeing Farouk. I mean, you can't beat those prices. Those are pretty damn good. Squared Circle Collectibles. You can find out more information by visiting their website at Squared Circle 21, the actual numbers 21.com. Address is 3343 Valley Pike, Suite 100, Winchester, Virginia. If you want more information, you can give them a call at 540-773-8174. Again, that's 540-773-8174. I am not a paid spokesperson for these guys. I just, when I see somebody that, hey, you know, that's what's up. Hey, I like this. Like, this is cool. Like, when I come across something that I think you guys will definitely enjoy, you'll get a kick out of, because at the end of the day, like I'm a fan. I'm a fan at the end of the day. And I really like what these guys are doing. They got a great store. Their store is always open online, so you can always go over there. And I mean, they got AEW figures, they got WWE figures, they got toy belts, rings, play sets, they got UFC stuff, Marvel. Poke your head around. I mean, they got some really, really good stuff. Some really, really good stuff. So check it out. So where were we? I think we were done talking about Dynamite. Yeah, I don't think there was really too much left. Let me just go back and check. Talked about MJF, Jeff Jarrett. Why do I feel as though, yeah, there was a three-way for the number one spot next week in the Casino Gauntlet? Tony Storm taking on Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, triple threat match. Chris Statlander picking up the win. I gotta say, I'm very surprised that Tony Storm did not pick up the win here. It makes me wonder. Okay, so when eventually are we going to see these two? What are you girls doing? Oh my god, my dogs are in here. They're playing, but I think maybe one of them wants out. I don't know. But anyway, kind of makes me wonder when eventually are we going to see Tony Storm and Mariah May lock it up again here. Willow Nightingale, like, I need this girl to have the big breakout year in 2025 already. I mean, this girl has been busting her ass left and right. She's on such a great momentum streak. I'm really just perplexed at why Tony Khan and crew are still just, I won't say wasting, but really aren't taking a step back and realizing what they truly have on their hands here and pull the trigger. Because if there's anybody that you're going, you know what, as far as a really good representation for the women's division, somebody that is universally very likable, very approachable, uh, very media friendly. Willow Nightingale is that woman. I would love to see a long-term program with her and Mercedes Monet that maybe culminates at the next All In, All Out, and Willow gets the championship off of her that way. Like, let's pull the trigger already. It's just, I'm not a fan when I look at certain women on the roster. Like, don't get me wrong, appreciate Mercedes Monet and her work, her in-ring work. It was off to a rocky start there, but she's really been stringing together some good shit as of late. But still not nearly enough. Bringing in, she's not. Let me put it to you this way: she's not justifying the salary that Tony Khan is giving her. Let me put it to you that way: she's not justifying it. But yeah, I'm hoping Willow Nightingale has a really good breakout year. If she doesn't become AEW Women's Champion in 2025, I definitely think by December 31st, we need to be like, so what's going on here? Seriously. And we need to be like, what's going on here? Happy to have you, Muhammad. Thanks for tuning in. Kenny Omega was pretty much the guy that closed out the night. Got interrupted by Don Callis. Omega starts chasing after him, and then boom, Brian Cage, Cal Fletcher beating him down. Ospreay coming out there for the save. Fans are chanting, holy shit. Get a nice stare down by Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. Like how that pretty much had closed out the show. You're thinking about all the history that went down between those two guys, but really the opener. I'm just kind of playing everything back in my head. That's why I kind of paused dramatically there for a little bit. Really the opener between Will Ospreay and Buddy Matthews, Buddy Murphy, Buddy. Oh, I almost forgot about Cope. Wasn't Cope in there at some point? Yeah, I think John Moxley was getting ready to do something there with his little stable. What was it? Plumber Moxley, whatever you guys are calling him. You guys are calling him something on social media. I love it. But yeah, rated FTR beat the holy crap out of him and the rest of his little misfits. I could care less. Cope? Really? Cope? My man's name is Cope. I was butchering the hell out of my boy. What are we doing to my boy there, man? We're just messing his name up. Like, we're not even trying anymore, man. Seriously. We're not even trying. So we got some reports floating around about Tony Schiavone and why he missed AEW Dynamite's episode. There's some interesting rumors that was being put out there. Dave Meltzer, take this for what it's worth. He's reporting that Schiavone was forced to miss Dynamite due to a family situation, and that it had nothing to do with a tweet Schiavone sent out and deleted about New Japan's Chris Carlton. Now, for those of you that are not aware, I got to admit, when I was watching Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty, I'm hearing Chris Carlton, who does a pretty good job. I've heard him off and on a couple of times for New Japan English commentary. He does a really good job. This go round, I was hearing him really pile on AEW, take some interesting cheap shots at Tony Khan. And as you're listening to the commentary, you can't help but wonder, oh, okay, so is this maybe part of some type of a feud here that we got going between New Japan and because I mean Chris was going deep. He was talking about how Tony Khan, AEW, they poached, you know, certain talents from them. And I mean, he was naming them and everything. I mean, the whole 9 yards, running the whole gambit. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. So it really made you wonder if, oh, are we kind of building up some type of a rivalry here between New Japan and AEW? Because if so, okay, well, hey, for cross promotional, yeah, okay, I'm sold. And there's reports now floating around that apparently Chris Carlton was maybe going into business for himself, that he did not run this by creative. And, well, apparently Tony Khan allegedly was pretty upset about some of this stuff. New Japan was pretty upset. So Chris Carlton has been suspended. I don't know for how long, but, he's been suspended. And then Tony Schiavone, once word got back to what all Chris had said during the broadcast, Tony Schiavone had went on social media, and he basically said, go fuck yourself, and said some other things disparaging. But he, quickly deleted it. But you know how that is. Once you put it out there, it's forever. It's forever out there. It's forever out there. So you had reports that maybe Tony Schiavone had ended up getting suspended, because you're going, wait, when has Tony Schiavone ever missed a episode of Dynamite / Collision? Like practically never. Like what the hell? So I don't know if Dave Meltzer is saying this. You can't really help but wonder, is that really true, Dave? Because we've kind of heard you talk out of both sides of your mouth. So what's really going on here, right? NXT doing a fantastic number on the CW this week. Good stuff. They got like over 900,000 some. I gotta actually pull that up. NXT rating. I think it was 900. Why am I thinking 939,000? Why am I thinking that? Let me see here. Yeah, NXT New Year's Evil's show draws the biggest viewership in 5 years. 957,000 viewers. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. With over 341,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. I mean, look, before Raw ended, we got word that The Rock was going to be appearing on NXT. So you hear that, you go, okay, well, you know what? If there's ever a reason to go in and watch NXT, let's see what The Rock is going to say. Let's see what he's going to do. Because look, the tickets have already been sold. If you go back and you see where how many seats were available, like right before the announcement was made that The Rock was going to be on NXT, that NXT show, it practically sold out. Practically sold out. So to hear, oh, Rock's going to be at NXT. Yeah, definitely that extra incentive, that extra boost for going, yeah, I need to see what's going on with this show. So we got ourselves a new NXT Women's Champion in Julia. I mean, just really take a step back and think about this for a second. WWE, just think WWE for a second. Nia Jax lost her championship. Liv Morgan lost her championship. Roxanne Perez lost her championship, right? You're looking at all that, you're going, God damn. Like WWE, they not playing around here. They are kicking off the new year strong by having there be new women's champions. And I'm freaking loving it. I'm freaking loving it. That Julia, I've seen a little bit of her work right before she came to the WWE. And I just said, yeah, great signing by WWE. What I really wasn't too sure about was who was going to capture the NXT Women's Championship first. Was it going to be Julia or was it going to be Stephanie Vaquer? And I was kind of leaning a little bit more towards Vaquer there, but you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with Julia. Corey Graves, I'm a little bit concerned about him. I'm a little bit concerned about Corey Graves because Corey Graves, for those of you that's not aware, as of NXT New Year's Evil going forward, Corey Graves is now going to be Team NXT. So he is joining Booker T, and I can't think of the other guy's name. Sadly, I'm drawing a blank. Vic Joseph. I don't know why I'm thinking Vic Joseph. But he's rejoined them, and it was so interesting watching him be introduced at the top of the show. He just had this look on his face like, I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe I've been delegated to this. Not that NXT is a bad thing, not from a demotion standpoint, but he just kind of had this look on his face like, after everything I've done, they do me like this. I don't know if that was just him selling. He did a fantastic job. But I want to say this about Corey Graves. And my girl brought this up because she just happened to watch a little bit of this NXT event with me. She said, Corey hasn't been the same for many years on the mic. And I looked at her and I rubbed my beard a little bit and I said, you're right, because, and I thought about it and I said to her out loud, I said, those initial 3 years, 4 years tops, Corey Graves out the gate and he's on commentary. I remember universally the IWC praised him. I mean, damn, like just, greatest thing to come out of the oven. I mean, we were singing the guys' praises. And then it just seemed like afterwards, he's just, I don't want to say phoning it in. I don't know if maybe it was a Vince McMahon thing where Vince McMahon just, less of this, more of this, less of this. I don't know if that really, but then you could make an argument that, well, not for nothing, but now that Vince is gone, you can kind of get back to basics there. And I've never really, from a listening experience, I've never really heard Corey Graves truly go back to vintage Corey Graves since he's had the free rope to be able to do so again. So I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting situation that's going on there with Corey Graves. But there's reports being put out there that this current NXT commentary team, that pretty much it'll be in place with the upcoming football season, and that at some point Corey is expected to rejoin the main roster commentary team. So we'll see what happens. Because I mean, if you're thinking about it right now, this NFL season is pretty much in the books. So this is the main reason why we've got Pat McAfee back for now. I would imagine that once football season is about to come back in full swing again, then yeah, most likely Pat moves away. Corey goes right back. So, if you're asking me, yo, what's going on there with Corey? He looked a little. I'm sure there's a part of him that's probably going, yo, I should. But at the same time, Corey is a storyteller and he knows how to play the game very well. And the fact that him and Booker T, that whole Starbucks thing from a couple of years ago, gold, fucking gold. And if you were watching NXT this week, you could kind of hear Booker and Corey kind of going a little back and forth there, kind of picking up where they were leaving off. Although I must admit, Corey was mostly silent for this event. So hopefully that changes next week going into future weeks there. But interesting episode of NXT New Year's Evil. And let's talk a little bit more about this. Let me pull up the card here and then we can go right into it. I'm trying to find it here. By the way, NXT New Year's Evil is set to replay this Saturday. So check your local listings for that one. New Year's Evil. I got to see the card because that's the only way I'm going to be able to remember all the matches and offer you guys some thoughts on that one. For some reason, I am not able to see the card. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. All right. Vic Joseph. All right, let's talk about this here. All right, so women's title match, Julia Roxanne Perez. Quite a short match. I got to admit to you guys, I was expecting this match to go at least close to 20 minutes. So the fact that it was barely a 10-minute match, that was most surprising as far as I was concerned. I definitely feel that Julia needed this win because if she was going to come out of this not winning the championship, I did feel that was going to kind of hurt her chances a bit long term in NXT. Because then it's like, okay, well, if you're not going to pull the trigger on Julia now, you just kind of, you just made this big deal signing her. And now you're doing her like this, if you already had her chasing somewhat this long, so you're derailing the inevitable even more, that could be detrimental, right? You might not be able to fully recover. So for them to pull the trigger on Julia now, I thought the timing of that was good. No issue with that whatsoever. Roxanne Perez is interesting. It's interesting when I think about Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez has come a ways as a character. Not perfect. She's not perfect just yet, but she is, I find, to be in a much better place as a character a year and a half later. I will definitely give her that. Here's the thing. A Roxanne Perez on the main roster, I don't think she would truly thrive as an individual. I kind of feel as though she's going to need to be part of some type of a female stable. That's the honest impression that I kind of have here. If not part of a female stable, at least is shadowing somebody. I feel that's how, because she needs a serious rub. Definitely. She needs a serious rub. I think one of the things that is really not in favor of her right now, upon being transplanted to the main roster, What's not working in her favor right now is her size, because she is a tiny little thing, a tiny little thing, tinier than AJ Mendez. So to the point, I'm thinking about how AJ was brought in, how she was first brought in, and how eventually the Big E, Dolph Ziggler. Look, I know Omaz is killing it right now, and Noah, as he should. That's how you fucking book him. Love what you're doing with him. Love that WWE is looking at certain guys and they're going, look, won't you go over here, go work with these guys for a little bit, sharpen up those skills. We'll see you back in a handful of months. That's great. That's how they should do it for certain individuals. Because honestly, even when you watch NXT, you're looking at certain individuals and you're going, yeah, you really shouldn't be on TV right now. Yeah. Love that they got those options. All part of that mighty powerful ID program of theirs and everything. So, and they got the whole performance center, yada, yada, yada. So that's great. If it was up to me, I would try to duplicate, but take it in an entirely different direction. But I would try to duplicate what went down there and was most successful for AJ Lee back in the day. I would love to see Roxanne Perez with Omaz and Ethan Page. I think that would be a very, very interesting stable transplanted on the main roster. Just marinate on that for a few ticks. Get back to your man. Meanwhile, Stephanie Vakir, Kalani Jordan, Lola Vice, Cora Jade. Fatal four-way match. This was for a future women's North American title match. Vakir picking up the win as she hit the STP on Jordan to pick up the win. Barely at about the 10-minute mark. Fast-paced, I'll give it that. Vakir moving into the title picture. Smart move. Smart move, I personally feel. You could also look at this as a sign that Fallon Henley's title reign is possibly numbered. Like it's potentially coming to an end. Which is cool. Which is cool, I personally feel. Vakir is continuing to win fans over week in, week out. I love that girl's work. I mean, she can do no wrong right now. Julia and Vakir, I gotta say, their English, I love it. It's getting better. It's taking time, but it's getting better. Like, I can't say anything bad about where both of these women are positioned right now. Good stuff. Fatal Influence. A lot of women, if you notice, a lot of women got a lot of love on this card. I got no issue. I love it. I love it. Fatal Influence taking on Shotzi, Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley. Dolan hitting Paxley. Trying to think who picked up the win there. I think it was. Oh my god, I'm trying to think who won this. I'm drawing a blank on that one. Maybe you guys can help me out. I can't remember who won that one. I was surprised to see Shotzi in there because remember, I don't watch NXT on a regular basis, but it was awesome seeing Shotzi because I remember the past few times I was poking my head checking out Smackdown. I was going, what the hell is going on with my girl Shotzi? Like, is she sick? Like, what's up with her? So to see that she's back on NXT, honestly, she should have never left NXT. I'm happy that she's back in there. Oh, I love the vignette promo, by the way, of Javon Evans, and his mouth is wired shut, and Yeah, he's not talking, but he's doing his best to talk through his teeth at how he can't wait to get his hands on Ethan Page. Speaking of Ethan Page, his encounter with Ava, they had to put Ava on there, right? She's getting better. I'll give her that. It's interesting. Each time I poke my head in, a little bit more time has passed on NXT. Ava's getting better. Talking. She seems to be getting more comfortable, which is good. I don't know what it is, but it seems to me, and let me know if you guys are noticing the same trend, but it seems that when Ava is backstage, oh man, she can crush it. But it seems when she's in the ring live with the crowd, she's struggling there. So I don't know if you guys are noticing that, but I'm definitely noticing that. Ethan Page appearing and letting Ava know he ain't a fan of hers. He don't care if she's the boss. Yeah, I mean, he's just letting her have it. Turns out The Rock was listening the entire time. Rock pretty much letting Ethan Page know he's a big fan of his work, sees big things happening for him when he comes up to the main roster and says, look, anything that you need, if you ever need anything, Final Boss, give him a call. But at the same time, if the two of them are going to be friendly with one another, Paige has to realize that Ava, she's the boss. What she says goes on NXT. So if Paige wants to be cool with The Rock, Paige has to be cool with Ava. Paige, all right, we're cool. And then I just love that because that was like an HR disaster. Everything that went down with Skip Bayless, Joy Taylor, and all that stuff. To just see The Rock then say, now get your sweet ass out of here and actually smack Paige on the ass. I laughed so hard at the TV. I said, HR. Seriously, man. Heritage Cup, Lexis King picking up the win over Charlie Dempsey. Okay. Kind of, I really wasn't truly invested in this one, so you guys got to forgive me. I honestly, I didn't care about this one. NXT Championship match: Trick Williams versus Oba Femi versus Eddie Thorpe. Oba becoming your new NXT Heavyweight Champion at about the 10-minute mark. This definitely should have ran much longer. This should have been at least a 20-minute match, give or take. I thought the ending was a little bit weird. And also in regards to this match, it also illustrated to me how Thorpe wasn't needed for this match at all. I saw the majority of the comments on social media, majority of the folks going, yo, this guy, like, he shouldn't even be getting a whiff of a world heavyweight championship. Like, screw this guy. Like, seriously, like, what are we doing here? We're giving away merit awards. Like, why is this guy like, what the hell? Like, why? I get where you guys are coming from with that. I see what you guys are talking about. I get it. It really should have just been Obafemi, Trick Williams. Dude wasn't needed whatsoever. Right down to the point, I know they did some angle where he got jumped and Oba pretty much said, yeah, I was the one that beat him down. And it was like, well, regardless, he's still in the triple threat. I wish he would have been not involved whatsoever. Oba, though, to be the new NXT champion, very surprising. I gotta admit, very surprising. I thought for sure Trick Williams was going to hold on to that championship a little longer. Maybe this is a sign that Trick Williams is going to be coming up as part of that whole transfer thing. Maybe that's what's going on. Your guess is as good as mine there, because I'm just kind of looking at the landscape of things, wondering what could potentially be next for Trick Williams. Well, Trick Williams has become what, a 2-time NXT champion here. Like, Does he really go in for a third time? And I don't think so. I think at this point, you just need to go on ahead and transplant him to maybe the Raw brand, or I think he would do better on the SmackDown brand. I personally feel maybe put him on the SmackDown brand. Rock coming out to close out the show. This was the main attraction of the night. I definitely want to follow up on some comments that I had to say in regards to the Rock. But first, NL saying there was no point in having the Fatal 4 number one contender match since what's that? Stefan and Shinzo number one contender match is happening next week. What is the point of having Stefan win? I'm trying to think. Am I reading that right? We're talking what? Are we talking New Japan? If we're talking New Japan, yeah, like God, I rarely poke my head into New Japan. I'm not gonna lie to you. So yeah, I'm trusting what you're saying. If it's one of those cases where it doesn't make sense, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Let's see here. Don't be surprised before Roxanne Perez goes to the main roster. We get an unhinged Perez, just like how CM Punk lost his championship to The Rock back in. Yeah, NL. I don't know if you were here several minutes ago, but I just spun a really cool idea of how Roxanne Perez should be transplanted on the main roster. I think we did that about, what would you say, fam, about 20 minutes ago? About 20 minutes ago was my idea. Yeah, just rewind it back real quick. You could do it while we're live on YouTube. You can actually rewind the stream back and you can hear what I had to say. I think I might be on to something there. Rock coming out, closing things out for NXT. Didn't say anything at all. You know, it pretty much was, look, thank you guys for coming. Keep cheering, keep booing. Like, you all are helping. You're helping shape the future of tomorrow with the WWE. Everything pretty much starts here. So, you know, keep it coming. That pretty much was the Rock's message. I'm cleaning that up very nicely because when you watch the segment, I don't know how many of you guys have not watched the segment yet, but the segment itself, you know, I got some mixed reactions to some of the comments that I had posted on social media in regards to The Rock. Some people were under the impression, you know, I was kind of being an asshole or whatever, but I really wasn't. You know, I was coming from a pretty solid place in mind, and I said on social media here. Let me see if I can pull this up. I said this on X. Let's see here. I think I'm looking at it right now. I said, so let me see if I got this straight. The Rock was on NXT for, wait for it, dot, 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 dot. Nothing. I am a fan of Rock, though. Correction, I am a fan of Rock through and through. But even I'm now starting to go, yo, ain't no meat on the bones anymore when he comes out. Don't feel special anymore. Can anything be done to help Rocky to break this cycle? You know, and you had some people going, "Oh, you know, he sold out the arena. You know, he all he did was help, you know, sell the hell out of tickets for that NXT show." And it's like not true because Rock was never advertised for NXT. You know, when you were trying to buy tickets weeks in advance, he was never advertised for that. You didn't realize that Rock was going to be on NXT until Monday Night Raw. So you pretty much were given essentially a 24-hour notice that Rock was going to be at NXT New Year's Eve. And then again, remember what I had said earlier. When you look at how many tickets were left before that Rock announcement, they damn near sold out for that NXT New Year's Eve event, if it wasn't already sold out by then. So that whole argument, like, no, Like we can bust that right now. That no, try again. That would be what I would say to you. But I just felt that these past couple of times that we have seen The Rock, it's been like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, where exactly are we going? Are we doing anything at all? The thing that he said on Monday Night Raw, hey, The Rock is always 20 steps ahead. Just sit back, enjoy the ride. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. It's just when it comes to The Rock himself, I'm literally going, put it to you this way. If you really kick back and you scrutinize what we got from The Rock on Monday night, you can honestly take a step back and go, well, you know what? Seeing how we had Triple H, like, what really was the point in going to The Rock? Like, that really wasn't needed. We honestly could have went right to a match. Really wasn't needed. But you're doing it for star power. You're doing it to grab the people's attention, right? It's marketing strategy, retention time, all that. Okay. You can kind of justify it. But if you really get down to the heart of the matter, that promo on Monday, much to do about nothing. Okay. All right, Lee, you got us there. Okay. Tuesday, much to do about nothing. Once again, Rock comes in. All right. Maybe he can help boost the viewership. Maybe he can, hey, mission accomplished, because we just talked about the viewership number there. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. You know how many households have access to the CW? So to hear that The Rock is going to be appearing live, what's he going to say? Well, he didn't do anything. He didn't really have anything important to say. He didn't have anything important to say at all. That was just all about a boost. So he is serving the role well when it comes to the whole boosting. Like, make no mistake about it. But there's definitely, and I'm part of that vocal group that's looking at what's happening with The Rock. And we're going, look, Rocky's our boy, but we need more meat on them bones when he comes out. How about at this point, Rock has served his purpose. Let's hold off, and whatever is supposed to be happening with him, if anything is going to be happening with him in the coming months leading up to WrestleMania, then let's hold off on any more Rocky appearances until it's really time for him to step into the light in front of the camera. And yeah, now he's got some meat on them bones. Now he's got some substance here, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's not nitpicking or bitching. It's just kind of one of those things where, damn, can we at least see your rock bottom, a mofo? Can we, it's kind of one of those type of deals. But overall, decent addition of decent addition of NXT. But The Rock in NXT, it did not work. I won't say it was a bad segment, but at the same time, I've seen better promos from The Rock. This was a pointless segment. It was a unnecessary segment, personally. But we got loads of good stuff that's going to be happening next week. Looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, checking out the Raw card for next week, January 13th. Peep this. We've got a street fight between Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Chad Gable taking on Mystery Luchador. I love how Triple H during the Raw post show, I think pretty much everybody knows who that is, right? Like, yeah, Penta. Like, so that's going to be good. Sheamus faces Ludwig Kaiser. And then we've got the Women's Intercontinental Championship Finals. Lyra Valkyria taking on Dakota Kai. Love the new graphics, too, by the way, for the upcoming fights. Good stuff. Good stuff. I love it. I love it. So that's gonna be a pretty damn good card. I'm looking forward to that one. I wonder what's going on with the card for SmackDown this week. I haven't really heard anything about SmackDown for this week. Hang on. Let's see what's going on for SmackDown this week. That would be the 10th, right? Yeah, that would be the 10th. All right. So right now, the only thing I'm seeing is the new women's champion Tiffany Stratton will appear. United States Championship match, Shinsuke Nakamura defending against LA Knight. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So we're still at the standstill of where we were from last week when only two matches was announced there for SmackDown. Let's see what else. What else can we get into here on the show? If you got some questions, you got some comments, bring it in right now. Now's the time. Yeah, Maria, as far as Wade Barrett, yeah, Wade Barrett continues to do a phenomenal job. I liked what Big E, and Joe Tessitore did on the Raw post show. Can't stress it enough. If you did not watch the Raw post show, normally I wouldn't say, yo, go out of your way and check out the post show. It's the best 1 hour, 45 minutes you'll experience a really good companion piece to that Raw Netflix premiere. I enjoyed it through and through. All of it just overall was really good. Some of the questions from the members of the press was quite silly. You could tell who was, and I hate to say this, but I'm gonna call it as it is. You could tell who basically was playing footsie with WWE, footsie from the standpoint of what's going to happen next with the story arc, trying to basically stay in character, helping those that's being interviewed basically stay in character versus those that actually had like legit, like really good questions. Like Cena was asked a really good question about, hey, on this tour, are you looking to integrate the Peacemaker character, the Doctor of Thugonomics, Prototype? Are you looking to integrate all of those characters during this farewell tour? And I thought, wow, that's a really damn good question. And I love how candid Cena was in his response. He said, well, first of all, Peacemaker, DC owns the rights to that. So, I won't say no, flat out no, but, DC owns the rights to that. So basically, he's letting you know that could be a very complicated type of situation because that's their intellectual property, that's their IP. So yeah, they're going to care a great deal about how that's presented and all of that. And ultimately that would be I would think ultimately that would be like a James Gunn decision. Like if there's anybody you might be able to sway to, it'd be so badass if we did Peacemaker, because I would imagine the conversation, like that dialogue, it would start with James Gunn. And then if it makes a lot of sense to James Gunn, not just creatively, but most importantly, at the end of the day, Warner Brothers is going to care about, okay, and how can this be profitable for us? So, creatively great, but what about profit wise? If it makes sense, then you're going to be able to go from there. But if he can win James Gunn over and they can iron out, hey, look, this is how we can make money off of this for everybody, then obviously Gunn is going to talk to the higher heads at Warner Brothers and they can sign off then. But as far as Peacemaker goes, yeah, I'm just not seeing that. But Cena said, look, with what you're seeing right now, you have been, I'm paraphrasing here, but he pretty much was saying, look, you've been seeing Prototype, Doctor of Thugonomics, incorporated somehow all this time, but to be able to take it to the extent of what you're talking about. He pretty much was like, we'll have to, wait and see. But he gave a well thought out answer in regards to that question. I just was shaking my head going, that's a really good question. Trying to think what was another really good question. Yeah, there were just some questions where I just was like, you know, to Cena's point, Cena even said, here's hoping that more members of the press media, gets out there, because I could tell that there was only but a small group that was there. And yeah, like there should be even more members of the media covering them and all of that, not just smartmark.com and you know Russell, wrestling and collar elbows.com. And I loved hearing members of the Associated Press and USA Today being there in the house. That definitely had piqued my ears. I think Jeffrey Harris, a former colleague of mine from 411 Mania, I know he was there. Jeffrey, I love you. I appreciate the fact that you were there, but you got to come up with better questions, man. Come on. You know how many people are fighting to be in those positions of asking, the talents, the Triple H's, and then all of them questions? It's like, and Julian Cannon, shout out to Julian from the Nocturnal and Digiday, but he gave me a peek behind the window as far as like what you can expect when you're at these press events for WWE. And basically, whatever questions you have, like apparently somebody is screening them, and they basically give the green light on whether or not it's okay for you to ask those questions. And then I guess Byron or whoever, when it comes time to open up the press joint, they'll go to you so you can, ask your question. So like the members of the press, they already know who's going to be there. And it's a matter of, okay, what's your questions, if any, that you have for, right? But again, these questions are pre-screened in advance. That's the thing. They're pre-screened in advance. So, but yeah, I was hearing some of because Jeffrey had asked 2 questions, and I just remember going, that's your best one? Like, that's your, like, really? Like, come on, dude, you gotta do better than that. One question that I was very interested in pitching, it came during Rhea Ripley. I don't know if it was Denise Salado or whoever, but somebody was like, now that you won the women's championship, yeah, what's next? Kind of like, are you gonna go to Disneyland? And I think there was another question where it was like, would you like to face the women's intercontinental champion or something like that? And I'm going, the fuck is up with these bubblegum questions? And like, I remember looking at that, hearing that question, and I'm going, no, how about this? Hey, Rhea, could you talk for a bit about what it means to you at this stage in your career, particularly with WWE, to see where the women's rosters are now, and the fact that there's more championship opportunities versus when you first came up to the roster? Can you talk for a bit about, what you think about the current state of the women's division and where you see it going in the next year or 2 or 3? I think that would have been a really, really good question as far as picking her brain and really kind of getting her to come out of character more and talk more about, okay, well, this is what I'm seeing. And she definitely could have reflected on it because she's essentially now a baby face and everything. So think that really would have been a damn good question to ask and everything. But CM Punk, he definitely gets the high marks of the night because he was he was eating his donuts. My girl was like, "No Mindy's." I said, "Nah, no Mindy's." I said, "But he don't discriminate, you know." And then later on, to hear him say, "Yeah, you know, I don't discriminate when it comes to donuts." I'm like, oh, like damn, dude, he was eating the biggest, fattest donuts I've ever seen in my life. Them things were huge. The things were huge, man. I like the girl that was eyeing the donut, and he encouraged her to come on up, get a donut, and rather than her just go barehanded, she grabs a napkin and she's, you know, being all respectful. And Punk's like, "Oh, grabbing a napkin to pick up the donut. Nice, very nice. Nice touch." Like, Punk didn't give a damn. He went in with them raw fingers. It was a big fat ass donut though, yo. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. If there's one thing I would say go out of your way and watch from that Raw post show, it would be go to, I think it lasted about 25 minutes. Go to the part where Triple H starts talking. Scrub till you get to that part. Triple H, just following up on everything that we had talked about on the Monday show, where Triple H gave a nod. Remember, we were talking about from a technical standpoint how I appreciated everything that was going on with production and how WWE is seen as though they definitely were playing around with some new technology and all that. You could see it during the broadcast. Well, Triple H had revealed some of the gadgets that they were playing around with. And I loved how afterwards, Joe Tessitore, he talked about this little mini drone all throughout the night that was giving them the great shots that they were getting throughout the 3+ hours, calling it the MVP as far as he was concerned. But that combined with all of the tech talk that Triple H was bringing up, I found that to be a great, fascinating listen. So definitely check that out. Some good stuff. Also, Punk, pretty much without saying, actually, no. Yeah, no. Pretty much without saying this feud is going to continue, Punk pretty much let us know him and Rollins, they're just getting started. So that was pleasant to the ears to hear that on so many levels. And I think CM Punk is giving us a foreshadowing about what we talked about on the Monday show, which is, we're probably going to get a more serious demeanor coming there from Seth Rollins. Maybe we're going to get that ice cold, that stone cold killer Seth Rollins that's going to come back, and he's going to have that dog in him. He's not going to be about the flashy stuff anymore. Remember that? We talked about it on Monday at great length. So maybe that's what we can expect coming up in the next week or two. Because I don't see how CM Punk is going to make it to the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think CM Punk about to get put on a stretcher for a little bit, and that's what's going to be done. Speaking of Punk, it was refreshing to hear him talk about how at now age 46, his body isn't falling apart, but he's also realizing at the same time his body is nowhere where it was 20 years ago. And so he's kind of kicking himself in the ass a little bit because his brain is exactly where it needs to be. And just everything that he's really starting to learn and really appreciate about the business, he feels that, he is at his absolute best right now. But it's kind of one of those knock on wood and hope that his body continues to hold up for him in the whole process and everything. Some really good stuff that's in there from that Raw post show. I definitely would encourage you guys to check out. Kevin Nash, love me some Kevin Nash, made a prediction on who he thinks The Rock will be facing at WrestleMania 41. talked about this on his podcast recently. See what you guys think about this. He said, quote unquote, I think he's one of those people that loves to work. You're going to work against Cody. Cody's not going to hurt you. Nash explained that since Cody has already proven to be trustworthy when it comes to wrestling The Rock without injuring him, he makes sense as an opponent, going as far as saying if he was 2 years younger, he would trust Cody enough to wrestle him. Remember, The Rock pinned Cody in a tag match at WrestleMania 40 night 1, but Cody got the last laugh, defeating Roman Reigns on night 2. So that's a very good point. That Kevin, I don't know what's going on with the whole 2 years younger thing, but that just might be possibly on the cards for WrestleMania. Look. Triple H has already said he's got the main event of WrestleMania already penciled. Like, he's already got that hammered out. I think what would have been a really good follow-up question for Triple H would have been, okay, so do you have both main events for both WrestleMania nights etched out, or just one? I think that's the more interesting question, more intriguing question, I personally feel, because we talked about John Cena and where he's possibly going to be going WrestleMania as far as his opponent goes. We talked about that on the Monday show, so go back, check that out. But now it's kind of like, okay, let's talk about Cody. What is going on there with Cody? Is it going to be Cody and Roman Reigns Act 3? Like, is that the route we're going? Or is it maybe going to be The Rock? That Brahma Bull Championship, right? That the People's Championship versus is that maybe what could be on the cards in the future? Not really needed per se, but it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. We could circle back to that. We really could circle back to that. I'd be down for it. I would be down for it. Just looking and thinking about the current roster right now. If you're not going to do Cody versus Rock WrestleMania, I'm just thinking. I don't sense I don't sense Rock versus Cena. I don't sense that. I don't sense that. By the way, we still need a CM Punk versus The Rock one-on-one. We still need that. So there'd be an interesting one right there. I wonder if Rock would be comfortable enough, if they decide they want to go in maybe Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, but they want to do something with Rock. I wonder if Rock would be interested in doing something with Punk. Or is it safe to say, no, Lee, safe to say Punk Rollins WrestleMania? Right. There's so many interesting avenues that WWE can go here, and they still have enough time. But I'm having strong second thoughts about Cody, because with that promo that Rock put out on Monday, think about that for a second. He praised Cody, gave him his flowers, saluted the fans, really giving you second thoughts about that Cody Rock match. But that Roman Reigns, on the other hand, you look at how Rock kind of looked on that Roman, little reluctant, little salty. I don't know. Very interesting. Very interesting. By the way, you shouldn't need Wrestling Observer and Sean Ross Sapp and them to tell you this, but Becky Lynch's return to WWE is imminent. I don't think I touched upon this on Monday's show, but just like, again, you don't need them to tell you this, because this is how you know for a fact she's coming back. because I'm sure by now you guys saw the report that's floating around. Becky Lynch signed a new deal with the WWE. Like, first of all, rewind. When I was watching Monday Night Raw and I was waiting for the stream to begin, remember how I told you guys I came in with about 5 minutes to go before they went live on Netflix? I was telling you guys about the different graphics I was seeing and all of that stuff. Well, I remember at one point I saw a Raw commercial, a Raw on Netflix commercial, and they were showing different superstars hitting poses, moves, and all that. And they had like this 360 camera. It pretty much was showing the wrestler doing their move to the opponent, and they would kind of look up at the ceiling. The camera would catch them, and it would do like this spin kind of thing. One of the joints that you could see clear as day, Becky Lynch, she's hitting the ropes, she's throwing her arm up in the air, and that was her little spin joint. And it was like, oh, hey, Becky Lynch. So go figure, right? So I think honestly, what's probably most likely happening, you probably had some cats that were looking at what I just described, and they pretty much are making shit up and trying to figure out, okay, maybe we can make this stick. And if that's not going to stick, maybe we can make that stick instead. But if you saw what I saw, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, she's good. She's locked in. She's great. So other than that, let's see what else. I think, man, we went a little bit all over the place. We showed a lot of love, went a lot all over the place on this episode. I'm just checking real quick, trying to see if there's anything else noteworthy we need to get into before we get ready to call it here. I don't think there is. I don't think there is. Just checking. MLW made an announcement that they're going to be returning to Texas for MLW Fightland. That's going to be happening in September. Don't worry, as we get a lot closer, I'll remind you guys. Yeah. Looks like we're on top of everything here. I'm not seeing anything new, nothing breaking news wise that we need to get into here. Looks like we're good. I'm just making sure. No, looks like we're good. Yeah, looks like we're good. Looks like we covered all the bases on this one. So let me tell you guys, as far as quick programming notes go. So this weekend, me and Tams, we're going to be back for a new edition of Wrestling with the Topics. I'm looking forward to that one. That should be a very fun show. Very curious to pick her brain on a couple of things. I know one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the new Luther Vandross documentary that premiered. Also reminds me, there's a new soundtrack that's out that kind of is a companion piece to that documentary. Definitely going to be talking about that as well. Some other fun little tidbits. Probably get into some NFL wild card predictions, playoff predictions, Super Bowl predictions as well on that episode as well. So, tune in for that. That should be pretty good. And in the meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. Shout out to you, the listeners. Appreciate, love you guys, always supporting. Shout out to everybody that tuned in live. I know we did kind of a impromptu episode here, but I'm glad that we were able to do it. It's funny because I said a little mini episode. We should call this a mid episode, right? That's how we need to rephrase it. It's a mid episode. I don't mind that we went a lot longer than anticipated. Not that we put a hard time limit out there, because we never did. We just said a mini episode, and that's kind of what we did, but it's more of a midweek episode. So I'm glad that we did this. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm able to do more shows for you guys for the next couple of weeks. Even going forward, I got a new college semester that's starting up the final week in January, but my load is much smaller because I'm only going to be dealing with 2 classes for this semester. So it's nice to be able to do more shows and everything. Um, by the way, I don't think I mentioned it. Maybe I did, but I finally watched The Penguin on Max. Holy fucking Jesus Christ. What a great series. I might go back and end up watching that all over again. I might do like a binge-a-thon and just burn through all 8 episodes in one sitting. What a fantastic series. I'm so damn glad that Colin Farrell won a Golden Globe for his portrayal as Penguin. As I said to my wife, I said, it's interesting that he's hitting his stride, his creative peak at this stage of his career, because and we'll talk about it more on Wrestling with the Topics, but for the longest time, the running gag with Colin Farrell used to be that dude can't act. And I was like, no, dude can act. He's got some range to him. You just got to give him the right roles. But that was like the biggest. And then the other thing that kind of hurt him a little bit, he was attached to quite a few flops. So he was almost kind of that, and the type of reputation that he had back in the day, kind of being difficult to work with. It's kind of one of those, so you're only gonna attract but certain projects and everything. But I said to her, I said, he's kind of at that point in his career right now, to a degree, just to a degree, it mirrors Al Pacino's. It's kind of funny that I'm mentioning Al Pacino, and I got his book behind me. I haven't started reading it yet, though. Great Christmas present that I had got, Al Pacino's memoir here. Looking forward to reading this. I'm going to start reading it probably this weekend. I'm going to start getting into it and everything. Also, wifey is going to be doing some stuff where she's going to be hooking this man cave up a little bit more. I got all these cool little knickknacks. You can't see them right now. I got all these cool little knickknacks that's on my desk here, because it's an L-shaped desk. And I showed her some videos on YouTube of some shows, and I was like, look, I've always, as you know, had like little knickknacks all over the place. I'm like, but now that I've got this desk, I kind of want to do. And so she's like, yeah, well, let me do a makeover. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, let me touch it up a little bit. And I see what you're talking about. So we're gonna do that. I'm also gonna try to see if I can get a new webcam installed. Nothing's wrong with this current webcam. I love the current webcam that I have, but I don't know if you guys remember, but many years back, I used to do multicam. So one minute I give you this angle, and then the next minute I'd give you like a bird's eye view, kind of similar to what we were doing with the live campus radio shows a couple of weeks back. So I'm gonna try to incorporate that again, because I think that'd be really cool, especially like when we're doing the shows where I'm standing up on Mondays, maybe even on the pay-per-view nights. Yeah, some good stuff right there. All right, so yeah, that's gonna do it. Be Kind Rewind. Check out the episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. If you appreciated this episode, do me a huge favor. Only takes a second, especially if you're checking us out on YouTube. Hit the like button and share. That like button is a very powerful thing, because when you do that, you put more eyeballs on the content, gets us out there to a more wider audience. I'm all throughout social media. You can reach me Facebook. I got the Twitter. I've Blue Sky. I'm even on Blue Sky. I'm getting a lot of folks on Blue Sky, but I gotta admit to you guys, I'm seeing a lot of porn accounts that's hitting me up on Blue Sky. So I can't even escape the porn accounts, the porn bots. I can't even escape them on Blue Sky. So do me a huge favor. Give me a follow on Blue Sky, and I'll do my best to follow you back, make sure I interact on your posts and all of that good stuff. All right. So until next go round, which will be this weekend for Wrestling with the Topics with me and the missus, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys next go around. Adios, y'all. Take care.